But TV shows in India did not always look like this.
7 July 1984, India's first television serial, Hum Log, went on air. Inspired by the Mexican television director Miguel Sabilo's idea of using soap operas for social change and education, this serial raised awareness about topics like family planning, women's education, alcoholism, domestic violence, and so on through the story of a middle-class family. This was followed by serials like Rajni, Uran, Shanti, which were female-led shows that showcase women as problem solvers, independent, and agents of change that break social barriers and challenge injustices. But this early phase of social conscious television did not last long. On 3rd July 2000, Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi premiered. A Balaji Telefilm production, Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi changed the landscape of Indian television entirely. Instead of progressive narratives, serials now revolved around rigid archetypes of womanhood. The female lead was almost always the self-sacrificing, obedient Bahu, the epitome of the good woman. Opposite to her stood the vamp, manipulative, ambitious, and sexually assertive, the bad woman. This stark division reflects two powerful psychological frameworks: ambivalent sexism, where women are either idealized in restrictive, protective roles or demonized when they challenge them, and the Madonna-whore dichotomy, which casts women as either pure, nurturing figures or as corrupt, immoral seductresses. In this video, I'm going to explore how these frameworks have shaped female representation in Indian television using examples from some of the most influential shows of the past 3 decades. The Madonna-whore dichotomy is a psychological complex in psychoanalytics first noticed by Sigmund Freud. It is a complex seen in cisgender heterosexual men where they experience a split between love and desire, or as Sigmund Freud said, where they love, they do not desire, and where they desire, they cannot love. To cope with these feelings of anxiety, they compartmentalize their romantic love for women they deem to have the qualifications to be a wife and a mother, but have little to no sexual arousal, and devalue women they consider promiscuous but whom they sexually desire. In other words, men with Madonna-whore complex can only become sexually aroused when they reduce their partner to a sexualized object, degrading her in the process because the good girl or the Madonna can't be fully sexually desired. Critics have argued that framing these gendered attitudes as a kind of psychopathology is limiting. It ignores how culture and social structures actively shape men's belief about women. In contrast, feminist theories emphasize that a Madonna-whore dichotomy is not an individual disorder but a social ideology. Rooted in patriarchal tendencies, it categorizes women into two mutually exclusive types: the Madonna, pure, nurturing, maternal, virtuous, and the whore, tainted, immoral, promiscuous, and threatening. This polarized way of depicting women became the core formula of Indian television from the early 2000s onwards. The best example is Kasauti Zindagi Ke. The contrast between Prerna and Komolika perfectly illustrates this dichotomy. One embodies the Madonna archetype, the virtuous, sacrificing maternal heroine, endlessly forgiving and bound to family duty, while the other is the glamorous, manipulative vamp vilified for her ambition and sexuality. And some might argue that this was decades ago. I mean, shows weren't too progressive back then, right? However, this argument comes falling down because even now in 2025, in more recent shows like Anupama, which claims to be progressive, the same binary quietly exists. On one side, Anupama is idealized as the ever-sacrificing, long-suffering homemaker, pure, maternal, and defined entirely by her devotion to her family. She embodies the Madonna figure, celebrated precisely because she endures. In contrast, the show repeatedly frames Kavya, Vanraj's second wife, as Anupama's opposite. Kavya is ambitious, outspoken, and unapologetic about her desires. Now I want to make it abundantly clear that I'm not at all trying to justify her affair with Vanraj. Not at all. However, what is significant is how the narrative quotes her character. The woman who seeks independence and personal fulfillment is constantly painted as selfish, disruptive, and morally suspect. Traditionally, sexism has been viewed as a prejudice that is based on an antipathy account, which basically means that traditionally sexism has been seen as a prejudice that comes from dislike or hostility towards women. However, a modern approach to this topic has shown that sexism may be viewed as a special case of prejudice, which is marked by deep ambivalence rather than uniform antipathy. Because sexual reproduction and men's dependence on women to fulfill domestic roles create a dependency and intimacy between the two genders. This is termed as ambivalent sexism, which presents sexism as a combination of two opposing but complementary sexist ideologies. The first ideology is hostile sexism, which views women as manipulative competitors who seek to gain power over men. And the second one is benevolent sexism, a chivalrous view of women as pure and moral, yet weak and passive, deserving man's protection and admiration as long as they conform. This ambivalent sexist ideology has been at the core of Indian serials since the early 2000s. These shows reconcile the completely opposing forces of benevolent and hostile sexism by splitting women into good and bad subtypes. The ideal Bahu, the submissive, family-centered woman, is rewarded with benevolent admiration because she conforms to societal expectations and remains dependent on the male lead's protection and constantly strives for his attention and approval. In contrast to that, the vamp is punished with hostility. Her refusal to conform, her independence, and above all, her ambition are framed as threats not only to family harmony, but also to the male lead's authority and symbolic glory. The most obvious example of this appears in Saath Nibhana Sathiya. Gopi is portrayed as docile, sacrificing, pure, and endlessly supportive. She is idealized for her naivety, her unquestioned obedience, and her silence in the face of continuous disrespect and mistreatment. Rashi, on the other hand, is vilified as selfish and scheming precisely because she resists authority, demands respect, and seeks more agency within the household. Her assertiveness and refusal to conform to the standards of an ideal Bahu are framed as dangerous. The same pattern repeats in Ye Rishta Kya Kehlata Hai. Akshara embodies the nurturing good woman, idealized for suppressing her own needs to preserve the peace and harmony, her lack of assertiveness treated as a virtue. In contrast, Arohi, who is career-driven, outspoken, and unapologetic in her desire for recognition, is constantly framed as insecure, selfish, or morally flawed. Her very existence as a woman with an identity beyond being a daughter, wife, mother, or sister is painted as a threat that destabilizes the family order. But why does any of this matter, right? After all, these are nothing but fictional stories of fictional people that have entertained us. However, this discussion does matter because these serials haven't just entertained us, they have shaped the way audiences imagine women, attaching specific characteristics to specific archetypes without leaving any complexity or nuance. There is a strikingly deliberate visual coding in these serials. The ideal woman archetype, the Bahu we are told to admire, is always coded with visual softness. She is draped in conservative traditional clothing, often saris or salwar suits in bright yet safe shades like reds, pinks, yellows, greens, or blues. Her makeup remains soft, but her jewelry, while abundant, is styled in a more traditional or distinctly feminine way, never edgy or disruptive. Her body language is demure, eyes lowered, voice gentle, her presence almost shrinking to make space for others. Think of Gopi in Saath Nibhana Sathiya, Akshara in Ye Rishta Kya Kehlata Hai, or Prerna in Kasauti Zindagi Ke. Now contrast this with how serials portray the bad woman, the vamp or the villainess. Her visual coding is the exact opposite. She appears in bold makeup, dark lipsticks, heavily lined eyes. Her wardrobe leans towards modernity, sleeveless blouses, fitted dresses, or bright shimmering saris. She is visually louder, occupying space with confidence rather than shrinking into the background. She has an individual identity apart from being someone's wife, daughter, or mother. Komolika in Kasauti Zindagi Ke, Rashi in Sathiya, or Arohi in Ye Rishta Kya Kehlata Hai all exemplify this archetype. These women are ambitious, outspoken, unwilling to tolerate disrespect and challenge authority, and the narrative punishes them for it. The underlying message is unmistakable. If a woman chooses modern clothes over traditional ones, if she prioritizes a career over family life, or if she refuses to accept mistreatment, she is quoted as dangerous, selfish, or even immoral. Meanwhile, submission, silence, and devotion to family are glorified as the highest forms of femininity. What makes this dichotomy even more rigid is that morality itself is pre-written. The Bahu archetype is never truly allowed to be wrong. Her actions, no matter how passive, submissive, or aggressive, are always framed as morally righteous and even legally correct. She is shown as ethically unshakable, her actions always validated by the narrative. In contrast, the vamp or the modern woman is almost always written into morally or legally dubious choices, cheating, lying, scheming, manipulating. It is never true the other way around. This consistent pattern has done more than just entertain. It has helped cement a stereotype where modern women who resist societal expectations are not simply seen as flawed but as inherently bad both morally and legally. Over decades, serials have made it seem natural that goodness and obedience belong together, while ambition and individuality belong to villainy. In doing so, they have perpetuated a cultural narrative where women must choose between being respectable or being independent. Never both.